Are you at the threshold of choosing a career? Do you need to decide between job or entrepreneurship? Are you too young to become an entrepreneur? Or do you think you are not yet sure of getting a good job? The young adults who are watching this show today, I'm going to solve your problem about making your career decision. Just stay tuned till the end and don't go away. Cheers. Welcome to Sip and Talk with Vikram on our unique show, Lateral Learning, wherein you learn different things in a different manner. What you can learn through textbooks are not repeated here. Here, I tell you about some business skills or life skills which come from my own experience over 3 decades in various types of industries. I am an MBA in finance and a black belt in Six Sigma. I have also published some books. All of them have become number one bestsellers on Amazon. So, those who are watching this for the first time, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified. Also, please post in your comments in the main comment box below. I grew up as a child with many people in the family: grandparents, uncles, aunts, parents, brothers, sisters, cousins. They all wanted to connect with me through one thing, and that was stories. So they used to tell me stories, and I became a storyteller myself. So without much ado, let's begin with the story of the day, the lion tales. So cheers once again. So once there was a pride of lions in the savannah desert of Africa. A particular lioness had four cubs. You know how it works amongst the lions. The pride is headed by one lion, and there are several lionesses. While the lion just has to stay strong enough to fight other lions and keep them away and keep his lionesses happy, he doesn't really have to hunt or do any babysitting either. So the lionesses have to do all the hunting and bring food for the family and look after the cubs. On one such hunting expedition, this lioness went away from her cubs, of course, because she was chasing a prey. The cubs were very playful, so they wandered around joyfully into the grasses and they ran after some small rodents to practice their instincts because they have to grow up to become a big, strong lion and hunt for themselves. So it all comes instinctively, and they were just prancing around in the grass and they ran through the grass till they lost their way. Now they spread around to find their way back. After some time, one of the cubs finally came out of the tall grass and he saw a huge machine on wheels. In that big truck, there were hunters. They were firing gunshots to scare the pride of the lions away. Fortunately, they did not kill any lion. However, the cub was dumbstruck for a moment and he mustered all the courage to run towards the pride of the lion. He somehow caught up with them and disappeared into the cloud of dust around them. Meanwhile, another cub showed from behind the bushes. Now the hunters saw him. They just pounced on him and grabbed him. He was shoved into a cage where he could just helplessly growl and gnaw the iron grills. He may be a lion cub, but right now he was helpless like a kitten. Now the other two cubs wandered out a bit too far at the other end. They finally reached into some thicket where some people were hacking some trees. A big guy saw them and grabbed them by the neck, much like how the lioness would have picked them. And he shoved them into an empty sack and tossed them into the boot of his truck and drove the truck to some place. The cubs were helplessly gasping for breath in that sack which was tight, and they were not relishing the unfamiliar rumbling of the truck and the smell of smoke bellowed by the truck. Finally, the truck halted. The sack was exchanged for cash, and the man drove away. The new owner transferred the cubs into a cage. They were feeling very intimidated. They were starving and thirsty, besides being scared, but who cared for them? In the night, they were squeaking in desperation, and then some human came around and threw some waste shreds of chicken in their cage. Now, they were used to eating bison meat, and they were unfamiliar with this chicken. Yes, they were weaned off their mother's milk, but they used to eat into the fresh kills, the flesh of whatever their mother hunted, and with gushes of warm blood smearing their face. So, this food was just not their food. They were staring at it for a while, but they were starving, so they tried it and gulped it somehow. Now, this thing went on for a couple of days until one day they were put into a separate, smaller cages, and that's the last time they saw each other. One of them was sold off in a zoo, and the other in a circus. Thankfully, nowadays most circuses have banned using animals, but those were the days when lions were tamed and made to perform tricks in circuses. I remember having been to one of those circuses when I was a child. Lions were made to sit on stools, and they were made to jump through a ring of fire. The ringmaster looked like a mean guy in black suit lashing a whip to command the lions. I wondered how just one man could control and command so many lions in the ring. Why did the lions obey him like kittens? Now, when the lion cub arrived in the circus, the ringmaster picked him up and caressed him. He placed him on a stool and held him there. As the cub tried to slip under the stool, he received a slap on his face and he was put back on the stool. It went on like that a few more times and a few more slaps, and then he obeyed and he just sat over there. When he obeyed and he sat over there, he was given a bit of meat, which was somewhat putrefied and stinking. Only the hyenas in the jungle would gorge on those kind of meat, but he was starving for many days, so he gulped it. Now this became a daily routine. He had to learn to do some trick. If he failed, he was slapped, and he was left to starve until he learned the trick. Then one day, he was made to starve for almost a week. Nobody cared the least for him. He was desperate. And then he was taken to the fire rings. The grown-up lions were made to jump through it, one after the other. Whoever tried to duck below the ring received a lashing from the ringmaster. And those who crossed it received a piece of meat. They ate it without complaining. It was their hard-earned wages for their labor. Now it was the turn for the cub. He dared, but he crashed on the ring, and this hungry belly got scalded. He tried, but failed again. He ducked below the ring, and he received a whip on his back. He was dragged back on the runway. Finally, with all the strength that was left in him, he jumped through that ring, and a piece of meat was tossed at him. He ate it. He no longer felt that it was stinky old leftovers. The salt of labor makes everything tasty, isn't it? What does this remind you of? Yes, viewers, I'm asking you. Does this remind you of those menial jobs under a strict taskmaster in organizations? You have to work harder than you can. You just can't get enough of it done. You just get enough to survive, and you get punished for every mistake. You learn it the hard way. Now the other cow, which was sold off to the zoo, was kept in a cage, a bigger one. And every day at a particular time in the night, along with other lions, he was fed with some meat. And he was just growing up. He had to do nothing. He just had to be there, growl sometimes. People will come and watch him. When the belly is full and the mind is peaceful, he would sleep. He had nothing to do. So he grew up fat with loose muscles and a hanging underbelly, much unlike the other lions in the savannah. Of course, his past memories were erased. And now he squatted around his cage to mark his boundaries within. We all love boundaries, isn't it? Even if it is a cage. So one day, he was big enough to be let into another cage with a lioness. That was some reward coming along as he became a senior. So he found some relief for his loneliness with that lioness. And once they got friendly, they were let into a bigger open enclosure. where it felt like heaven. Now, some zoos are good. They have those huge enclosures with natural vegetation and a deep moat around them. They can't run away, but yes, they are there in somewhat better than the cage. So people used to visit him, clap and click pictures, and sometimes he would roar, and people would be even more excited and paid even more attention. So while he spent most of his day sleeping, he was thankful in his heart for all the promotions and rewards that he was getting. What kind of an easy job does this remind you of? Just a simple duty by the clock, regular salary, promotions, no performance pressures, king of your own domain. Not easy to get there, but once you do, you do. So, going further now, that third little cub which followed his pride, he grew up to become a ferocious and a strong lion. He was now heading his pride, and he had as many as six lionesses around him and several cubs of his own. He learned through all the hardships, and today he was the king of his jungle. Of course, there would be some days he had to starve, but there would not be any game to hunt. However, when they got a bison, the whole family had a feast. So, what are these kind of humans who are like him? Yeah, they are the entrepreneurs. So, he is the entrepreneur who went through all odds and hardships to reach where he is. He built his own establishment through all hardships and he rules. That's a crown well deserved, isn't it? So, viewers, how did I come across this story? You must be wondering. Now, look at this picture. Whenever I see this national emblem of India, I not only feel proud and respectful, but I also get inspired that in this emblem, we see the lions in different directions. Likewise, life offers us different directions. Okay? We see these three lions, one facing the front and two sideways. Now, these are the different directions we can choose in our life. The choice is with us. Whether you are an entrepreneur or a well paid employee or someone struggling in a menial job, at the end, everybody is a lion, but there is so much difference in their lives because of the path that they chose. For the young adults who are watching my show right now, tell me which lion inspires you the most. What do you want to become in life? Which career should you choose? I think if you have to become the king of the jungle, then you have to choose the path from day one. Don't think that you will get into a job, learn a lot, gather resources, and later move into the space of entrepreneurship. You won't have the stamina, the energy, the muscles that it takes to become an entrepreneur. So the sooner you start, the better it is. Okay? Your first attempt should always be to become an entrepreneur. Bring out your creativity, put in your hard work, do your best. Either you will succeed and become the king, or you will end up in some circus or a zoo. But you must try once. Do you agree with that? Let me hear from you. Type in your comment. Do you agree with this? And the rest of you I know are studying hard to crack the exams and get into the zoo. So good luck to you. Wait a minute. What happened to the fourth cub? Now those hunters in the truck who lifted him sold him to a sheikh. This sheikh is a rich man and he paid handsomely for that charming little cub and cared for him as his pet. There were servants around who would take care, groom him, train him, and domesticate him so that the sheikh could play with him. He grew up like a glamorous big cat. He lived the life of stardom and riches. Now, this is the fourth lion in that emblem, which is behind the other three lions. You cannot see it often, but it is there. Very few lucky ones are those who land up into inheriting riches and fame. Your luck might take you to stardom like an actor, singer, artist, cricketer, or whatever. But you get your share of fame when you really get the support of an influential patron. Yes, there's a lot of hard work, but again, there's a lot of kismet. So, viewers, what's your take on this story? Which of the lions do you wish to emulate? I have made it absolutely clear to you. Now it is your turn to make the choices in your life. Do post in your comments in the main comment box right now. Also, those who are watching for the first time and not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified. If you like this video, then please share it to as many people as you can and please amplify it. Thank you so much. Namaste.